Hello, everybody. Here we are at the Keto Edge Summit, where we are dispelling the myths and helping empower people to get the health benefits of living a ketogenic lifestyle. I'm your host, Dr. David Jockers, and I'm with my good friend here, Dr. BJ Hardick, and we're at the Fountainhead Life University, where both of us went to school.
Yeah.
And BJ actually has one of the largest chiropractic and natural health clinics in all the world. And he was a mentor of mine actually while I was going through school. And just an extraordinary guy. Wrote a great book that really dives into a lot of ketogenic principles called the Maximize Living Nutrition Plans, that was published in 2009, right before anybody was really talking about a ketogenic diet. Isn't that correct?
It was in 2009, and we did not feel a need to refer to the term ketosis at that time.
Yeah.
Within a few years, though, we needed to. There were a lot of concepts in 2009 that hadn't really made it to the forefront.
You're absolutely
we were
right.
scraping the surface of it, but I think the world's become a lot more aware since 2009. So
yes.
Anyway, by the time this interview gets out, we're working on a new book anyway to really address a lot of the 21st century needs that people have.
Definitely.
But ancestrally speaking, people have always looked at these types of principles. But I think it's great now that we're looking at how to more specifically adapt and apply these for people that are looking to overcome disease, get in the best shape of their life, and know that they're not just dancing with certain concepts, but that they can actually apply these things clinically and scientifically, and they get great health results too.
Yeah, absolutely. And let us know about what kind of results have you experimented with a ketogenic lifestyle, low carb, different things like that, fasting, a lot of the strategies we talk about. Tell us about your story. I know you have a health journey yourself.
Sure.
Tell us about that.
Well, so the first thing when I was diagnosed with very, very extreme mercury toxicity, this would be about 10 years ago, is I obviously learned from some of our mentors that the best thing to do was get off sugar, get off grains, get onto more of a fat-based diet, basically. And we didn't call it a ketogenic diet, but I eliminated all grains. I eliminated higher sugar fruits. I started strictly consuming, quality animal products, plants, fats, nuts, seeds, so forth. Basically a paleo lifestyle. And I was a distance runner as well. And I noticed right away that I had, when my energy started shifting, I had so much difficulty running those first few weeks because my body was so used to just living on sugar and living on grains. And we would do the pasta as a recovery meal, and we would do oatmeal that morning of a run and all these things. So it was really a difficulty shifting over. And I remember inquiring with a lot of sports people that I knew, asking, is this even possible? Can somebody be an athlete if they're just thriving on, basically, quality, low starch carbohydrates, quality fats, quality proteins? And of course the answer is yes. So that was some of my experience doing it more from an athletic perspective.
Yeah.
Then when you talk more about fasting though, I never even really gave any consideration. I just lived in North America. Like most people, you eat 3 meals a day. And then I started, examining the principles of fasting, and I didn't really have any health issues that led me to fasting, but I wanted to see how I would do.
Yeah.
And it made sense to me that, in ancestral times, you would have been very overly blessed if you could have had 3 meals a day, because they always would not have been there. And I thought, that makes sense that my gut should take a little bit of a break. And really, within a couple weeks, I couldn't believe how quickly you realize I don't have to have that meal, and hunger pangs are a bit of a psychological thing. And we have so many social cues that you should eat and when you're supposed to eat and all these things, and your body can adapt very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Around the time that you were writing the book, I actually was going through my own health journey. I had irritable bowel syndrome, and as I was learning how to heal it, I just noticed that when I wasn't eating, I felt significantly better. In fact, I actually went through a period in, I think it was 2007, where I would only eat in basically a 4-hour eating window from 3 to maybe 7 o'clock. This is way before anybody was talking about fasting, ketosis, and I would drink a gallon of water between the time I woke up and noon, right? And I would work out intensely in the morning, and all I would do was just hydrate. And I was here at this school, Life University, and I'd have this big gallon jug of water that I bring everywhere. And all my colleagues were like, wow, you're getting really strong. They see me working out in the gym, and my strength levels were going through the roof.
Yeah.
And I kept telling them I thought it was the water. I thought it was actually the superhydration that I was doing, extending out the sarcomeres, helping with more explosive contractions. And maybe that was a component.
Yeah.
I had no clue what a ketone was. Obviously never learned that. And I was actually getting my master's degree in sports nutrition while I was here.
Okay.
And I was telling my professor, who was a PhD, right? And I was telling her what I'm doing, and she's like, oh, there's just no way. You're running off glycogen. You're just running off glycogen, not ketones. but I was seeing these results, right? And then so when it came out in the forefront, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is exactly what I was doing, right? And it just made complete sense.
You know, one thing that you told me, and I think you were still in school because we've known each other for a long time, you know, is that oftentimes when people think that they're hungry, it's all mindset.
Oh,
you know? It's just social cues, and that often is you're thirsty, and you had indicated to me that those two
and your hypothalamus
centers in the you can explain it better than me.
Your hunger center and your thirst center are right next to each other in this part of your brain, your hypothalamus. And so in our society,
I've never
food
forgotten.
is so prevalent.
I've never forgotten that.
And we get a dopamine hit every time we eat, which is like a drug. So we get that high. And food is so prevalent. So of course we're going to go for the dopamine hit, which is eat food as opposed to drink water, which obviously doesn't give us the same sensation. Absolutely.
So, you know, you really do look at it and you say, you know, it's all about acknowledging how is the body supposed to operate in the first place. You know, I deeply believe that the body's going to express the greatest health when it's living in an environment and expressing the principles that really were designed for the body in the first place. And the reality is, in our ancestral times, the body would not have been consuming 3 meals a day. You know, if you consume, I mean, if you were a king, you got your 3 meals a day, but that's probably also when a lot of the diseases and that
they were the sick people,
completely,
So the
living
normal
the high life
people, if they got 1 meal a day, that was awesome. You know what I mean? And so absolutely. And so I know you work obviously with a lot of different clients coming from all over the place, and your clinic is in London, Ontario, right? And tell us about your experience working with people and really helping them adapt more of a ketogenic, innate lifestyle using intermittent fasting, things like that.
Sure. Well, the first thing, just trying to move towards more of a ketogenic lifestyle when you're actually eliminating grains and sugars is, you know, even though there's a lot more awareness right now, people still freak out when they're told that you can't have grains and you can't have sugars. And a lot of times people say, well, wait a second, you know, these are foods of the earth. You know, I mean, you know, you know, Mother Nature gave us pineapples and oranges and pears and all these things. I mean, how can those things be bad for you? And I always go back to this. And I think, first of all, you have to recognize that people of different genetic backgrounds are going to process foods differently. They're going to have different types of metabolism. Some people, based on where they're from in the world, may do better with one type of food than another. But in principle, when you think about the higher sugar foods and the ones like grains that turn into sugars, you know, the reality is, you know, I'm a Northern Caucasian. You know, I would not be from a part of the world where pineapples are growing year round. You know, so it's about saying, well, what would my culture have thrived upon? Now, it starts to get a little dicey when, you know, through the years, you know, you go on 22andMe and you find out that, oh, I'm 5% this and I'm 10% that. So it's not always necessarily black or white. So I do believe in listening to your body and seeing, you know, how you should eat in the first place. But the first thing is when you tell people to eliminate these foods that they think could actually be, you know, Mother Nature's foods or God's foods, people say, well, that's not right because I'm supposed to eat those things. And the reality is you have to also differentiate not just how is your body supposed to eat, but are you really trying to deal with some type of illness or a disease? Because there are certain illnesses that can do better under certain diet programs, even though those changes aren't associated with the cause of it. The best one, for example, is celiac. I mean, people, if they're celiac, they shouldn't eat gluten. But consuming gluten doesn't cause celiac. Right. So same thing with, you know, if somebody has a ton of inflammation and they have gallbladder issues, well, they probably shouldn't have a ton of fat all at once. But just eating fat your whole lifetime isn't going to give you those gallbladder issues. So we could go on and on and on about that. You know, obviously, I had a friend who was, you know, dealing with cancer, not consuming any fruit. Well, no, we've never suggested that consuming fruit gave you the cancer. But we do know that getting into this state where your body's not having to rely upon sugar is going to benefit the immune system and help kill off some of those cells.
It's a therapeutic nutrition,
Exactly, So, you know, and then, so you have to look at, am I doing this for some clinical need, or am I doing this because it is just the way my body was designed in the first place? You know, and then certainly I can tell you that, you know, I figure that, you know, looking at my genetic lineage, I probably am designed to eat a couple meals a day. You know, and you know what, they're probably meant to be more, you know, higher fat and, you know, lesser carbohydrate. So that's really, so I often introduce the change by just saying, just change up those meals to eliminate a lot of the higher sugar fruits, a lot of the grains, and then start looking at fasting if you kind of do it in a two-step process there. You know, just because for some people, if they're making a giant change, if they're watching this and this is their first change, at least just, you know, get those higher sugar foods out. And then the next step often can be, if you're really, really trying to go hardcore, obviously, you're a smoothie king, so am I a smoothie king. I think does Smoothie King still exist? So
stay away from Smoothie King though, if you're trying to live a ketogenic lifestyle.
Exactly.
Everything has a tremendous amount of sugar.
But being a smoothie fanatic, I should say.
Be a Smoothie King at your house.
There you go. Be a king of the smoothie.
That's right.
So I once said, wait a second, I really want to go hardcore on this. And I was actually dealing with some imbalanced bacteria in my mouth. So I see a holistic dentist, and one of the preventative checkups they do is they look at the bacterial swabs in your mouth. And all of a sudden, 1 year, just my bacterial cultures in my mouth were not doing very well at all. And I had no detectable cavities, how they would detect them. But I said, well, that's a warning sign for other problems. And I said, that's it. And I went hardcore. And I eliminated berries from my smoothies. And that really was about the higher sugar fruit that I was having. And I did that for a period.
We were all thinking berries. Come on, berries don't, they're not going to contribute to this.
But two things that I noticed. That oral culture came back perfect the next time through. And I didn't miss them. By the time, literally, and then I started to say, wait, it might sound a little, ridiculous, but I was thinking, wait, how much money am I spending on berries that I'm not even tasting? Now, you do get benefits by consuming berries. So let's not say people should be anti-berry all the time.
Exactly.
And for some people, they may metabolize berries much easier than other people, depending on how much activity they have or their genetic lineage. But for me, that was one change. And when I quit eating oatmeal, this is when I started doing, more of a ketogenic type of lifestyle. And then I went to add it back in just because I was at a heavy outdoors weekend and I wanted to see how I would do. I felt so sick. You get used to eating too much of some of the stuff you shouldn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, tell us, did you cry when you took the first week you took the berries out? Was that like an emotional moment for you?
No, I just replaced them with ice because they were frozen in the first place. So I tell people this. I say, make the change. The worst thing that can happen is you revert your changes 2 or 3 weeks later, 6 weeks, or however long you want to do it. See how you do.
Right.
But certainly then when I have, evaluated my own self, when I look at, hydration levels, body fat percentage, that type of thing, I do better with lower sugar fruits for sure, at the very, very most, and certainly no grains. And really, that starts to become the basis of a ketogenic lifestyle, I think. And some people have to take it a little bit further depending on their metabolism. But if people can just make that their starting point, they get that it helps you start to realize it's very, very possible, very easy to do.
Exactly.
But you know what? Some folks, unless they're on programs like this, they might not have it all figured out. And I respect that. I literally, David, I remember going out for lunch 10 or 15 years ago and thinking, should I go and get the piece of fish with all the vegetables, or should I go get pasta? Because I thought they were both homemade, they were both nutritious. Not realizing that all that pasta was white flour.
Right.
But I was always taught that it had all the B vitamins and all the extra things there that I needed to get. And I just, I was always told that to base it just on whether or not it was a carbohydrate or a protein or a fat, not even looking at like the purity of the compound. Or the purity of the food. So obviously, some people still are at that baseline starting point. Just eliminate the white flour, the sugar, the other flours. That alone is a big change for some people.
That's a huge change,
But you know what? The reason why you're doing this and the reason why I still do what I do is because if somebody's not getting well and they're dealing with conditions that they feel that their body should be healing much easier, don't give up. Because maybe you need to, maybe you are that person who needs to remove the berries from their smoothie, and you need to take it that much further to get the changes that you need to see.
You got to have that
because the principles are always true. Right, but some people may need to apply them more uniquely than others.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a term I always tell my clients in the health journey, I say, really getting healthy is about getting a master's degree in your own health, right? So if you were going to go and get a master's degree at a school like this, okay, you're going to spend a lot of time, money, and energy in doing that, right? And it's a slow process. You want to take it semester by semester. And so taking berries out or doing something along those lines may just be, an assignment that you're doing for a short period of time along the way of developing your master's degree in your own health, which you're going to take with you for the rest of your life.
It's self-study as well. I mean, you want to best know your body. I mean, I ultimately feel we'd like people to be able to get up in the morning, be able to listen to their body and let their body tell them what they should eat.
Intuition,
instead of just having to follow a book.
That's right.
But when your brain psychology is all screwed up and you've got all these hormonal triggers and all these food sensitivities and addictions and everything else too, sometimes you need that guide to start.
And getting a starting place. Exactly. In your book, what I love is 3 changes, right? And it's simple. It's like, okay, if you can make these 3 changes, that's really going to move you on the direction towards, vastly improving your health and really living a sort of a ketogenic lifestyle, right? Take out sugars and grains, right, which we're talking about. Get rid of bad fats. We haven't even touched on that, but all the refined oils, bring in the good fats, and then change the meat, right? And getting rid of the processed meat, sticking with organic grass-fed, right? 100%. And you really simplified it as far as that goes. And I know that you do a lot of work with detoxification. In fact, you did a whole summit on detox. And so tell us about a few of your favorite foods that help the body detox.
There's an article that I actually pulled, and I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it was actually in that Detox Summit. It was just really the foundation for detoxification really should be through foods.
Yeah.
And that's where, there are some very, very advanced supplementation regimens that people can follow, that I do follow that myself. I mean, I'm a fan of liposomal glutathione. I'm a fan of activated charcoal. But there's a ton of research just demonstrating that detoxification is a natural process for the body to achieve.
Yeah.
I do believe the body was designed in full recognition that we would, have to, ward off foreign invaders, sometimes organic invaders, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Certainly the body is designed and equipped through the liver and the colon and the kidneys and so forth to deal with, smoke from a fire. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Or fungal toxins. However, we've been pushed to our limits now, right? So again, the type of detoxing that the body would have had to have done several hundred years ago is a lot different than the type of detoxing that they would need to do in a new building where you have all this off-gassing of paint and furniture and all else too. So that's where you just have to be smarter and better take care of your body's innate detoxification systems.
Yeah.
And really, again, what it always comes down to, when you start to look at those foods that are the higher sources of glutathione, which is your body's number one antioxidant that really is designed for intracellular detoxification.
Yeah.
It's all raw vegetables.
Yeah.
It is in high concentrations in raw organ meats and that type of thing as well. But you actually look at the list where at best ways to get glutathione, it's raw vegetables. Now, the minute you cook those vegetables, you kill off all the glutathione. So you don't kill off glutathione, you just destroy the glutathione so it can't be used in the body. So again, the raw food, plant-based diet plays a giant role in detoxification, not only because it's providing the fiber and the vitamin C and everything else that your body needs, and in terms of just the pure glutathione. That was a surprise for me because I only thought that glutathione would have come from things like liver and animal food products and raw dairy, that type of thing.
Right.
But there's a ton of great sources to get it that way. And the nice thing is all those things that I just mentioned, those are going to support detoxification and they're going to support ketosis as well.
Yeah.
So there's not a single green leafy vegetable that I've seen or avocado or anything that's giant on this list that's going to screw up your insulin levels and also interfere with ketosis. So a lot of people, when they start to go on to a quality plant-based detoxification regimen, even if they're going to incorporate certain things like maybe they want to be largely plant-based but include some wild fish. I developed it's on my website now, is the 7-day cleanse. We set that up to actually be largely plant-based, have a lot of probiotic-based foods as well. But you know what? Stagger in some wild fish if that's how your body does well. Certainly you look at people from the north, think like Scandinavian cultures, you would have having fish all the time. So I'm not saying that is something that somebody should never consume. So we put that in on the 7-day cleanse in its purest form. I think it's fine. But at the end of the day, people are doing these detox plans. They don't even realize that one of these secondary benefits is they're also they're doing a ketogenic diet as well.
Especially if they're adding in fasting. Right?
Exactly.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So BJ, you ready for this?
Yes.
Let's say you're going out, you're going to be stranded on an island, okay, for a year. You can have unlimited supply of 3 foods. 3 foods. All right? What foods would you, and there's, nothing else on the island. You're going to survive on 3 foods. What do you bring?
You know what? I instinctively turn to things that are known for being sources of great fats. I would go to coconut for sure. And what I always talk about in seminars and classes is coconut gets a bad rap because it's largely saturated fat. And I don't think the world still really totally understands that saturated fat is not dangerous. But coconut, you look at these people that go on Survivor and they're there for 40 days and all they eat is coconuts. And I mean, these people are ripped after 40 days.
Absolutely.
They get modeling contracts after 40 days and they look great. So absolutely coconut, because again, you look at the purity of true coconut in terms of providing all of the fats that you need there, plus the coconut water that you can crack it open and get your electrolytes that way. I mean, it's so definitely coconut one would be for sure. And of course too, people think about coconut oil. Well, remember in that coconut roughage, that meat, I mean, that's food that keeps you full. So coconut would be one. The next thing would certainly be, I would say, avocado. Again, they're going to keep you full. Great source of healthy fats.
A lot of minerals in there, electrolytes. You got it.
And I don't even know. I mean, you can grill an avocado, but I mean, this is something that people are just used to consuming raw.
Yeah, exactly.
Although the timing would be very difficult, though. I'd be waiting right till the perfect time, and if I miss it by that one day, I wouldn't be able to eat the avocado.
Got it.
And the other thing that I would do would be, although it's not any one food, but I would look at being able to sprout nuts or seeds. So certainly, I flew this morning. And I used to always take smoothie stuff with me on the airplane, and I used to be the guy on the plane who would put my smoothie in a cup and stir it up with water and drink it. But I really just try to consume whole foods now.
Yeah.
So I thought, what is the easiest thing I could put in my bag? And I brought sprouted pumpkin seeds.
Yeah.
And sprouting is something that actually you could look after on your own if you were on an island. Now I'd also need to be growing the pumpkins so I get more pumpkin seeds, but that I could probably do too as well. But again, going to keep me full. And there I'm going to get carbohydrates, fats, proteins, plus all the nutrients that come along with those elements.
A lot of zinc in that, you got it.
Huge, yeah. So those would be my 3.
Yeah. Awesome, I love it.
And those would all fit on a ketogenic plan, would they not?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all totally keto approved.
Yeah.
Right? And you probably catch some fish or, try to catch some fish while you're out there as well.
Yeah.
So anyways, BJ, it's been an awesome interview. And let us know, where can we find more about you?
drhardick.com is my website. So drhardick, HARDICK.com. And really the elements that I like to focus on really would be the whole food lifestyle, and certainly helping people look at basic and advanced levels of detoxification, just because it's so close to my heart. Also, as a chiropractor, I want to make sure people can get a better understanding of the chiropractic way of life. So those would be the main kind of 3 areas that I would focus a lot on my own website. And I'd be happy to entertain questions if people have them, and of course on Facebook as well.
Absolutely. And if people are in the Toronto, Ontario, London area, what's the name of your clinic?
Hardick Chiropractic Center.
Chiropractic
We've been there for almost 50 years.
Hey, there you go. And one of the largest, most well-respected chiropractic clinics in the world.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you on.
Yes,
BJ.
This has been fun. I want to do it again.
Absolutely. Definitely. And so if you're listening to the Keto Edge Summit, hopefully you're getting tremendous value out of interviews of world experts like BJ here. And, we'd love to have you just really dive in deeper with us and purchase the full package. So that way you're able to get the transcripts, you're able to get really everything that goes along with this Keto Edge Summit, and take it home, listen to it at your own leisure, and really get the full value out of it. So we'll see you on a future interview.